Yo, welcome to the channel, KeyLowk here, and today we're going to be rating the second generation Albinauric. This is a cosplay build made by Mr. Curl. As always, I'll be going over the pros and cons of this build and giving my opinions on it. If you don't know who Mr. Curl is, then go check out his content on YouTube at Mr. Curl. He has a lot of Elden Ring content that is based around PvP invasion builds. So if that is your thing, then definitely go check his page out. He will definitely appreciate it. And while you're there, go drop him a sub for good luck. Before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this content, we will go over how we rate every build we make a video on. With that being said, let's get it. This is just a quick overview on how we rate this build, so you'll know how we judge this build and how our rating system works. There are 4 categories that we judge the entire build on. Each category gets a score from 1 to 10, and the builds get an overall score of 40. The 4 categories that we rate are drip, because we all know drip is the true endgame of Elden Ring.
You're ridiculously good looking.
I rate this basically on how the build looks, which is the armor set and the weapon or weapons this build has on itself. Damage. This is one of the most important factors in Elden Ring. Damage output in this game can make you or break you, literally. Main things we test here is the Ash of War on this build. PvE. This is where we test the build through multiple trials of PvE, from boss battles to fighting harder enemies, to see how well this build performs. And lastly, we run the gauntlet of PvP. We rigorously test this build in duels at the Coliseum. Now that is all done, let's get into this video. The Albinauric mask has to be the cutest thing you've ever seen in Elden Ring. Its big, round eyes and innocent expressions makes this mask more cuddly than fierce. On the other hand, it's also kind of ugly. I don't know whether to give it a big old hug or just to stare at it from a distance. This is a situation where you could say if looks could kill. Anyways, I absolutely love the mask, and for that, it's already 11 out of 10. Just joking, just joking. For the drip, there is not much to say about the armor side of things. I mean, who else finds the mask cute? Was it just me? Next is the dirty chainmail, and as a cosplay, this build is pretty accurate. If I were to judge this just for the cosplay, I'd rate this a 10 out of 10, but since we are rating this for an all-round experience, it becomes a different story. There's 5 weapons on this build and a shield. The weapons on this build are the Ripple Crescent Halberd plus 24, the Ripple Blade plus 24, the Curved Great Club plus 24, and the Ash of War is the Lion's Claw, Shamshire plus 24, and the Ash of War is Spinning Slash, the Curved Club plus 24, and the Ash of War is Warcry, and the Albinauric Shield, the Parry Ash of War. The last 3 weapons I mentioned, including the shield, have the blood affinities to stick with the cosplay elements from what Mr. Curl mentioned in his video. I've always liked the look of the second gen Albinauric, and the mask is a top tier mask. With this being said, I'm going to give this a solid 7 out of 10, but without the mask, I'd give this like a 5. The mask is like the redeeming factor looks wise. Anyways, on to the next one. Let's get it. So for starters, Mr. Curl doesn't exactly tell us what the starting class is for the build, so I kind of pinned it down to either the Confessor, Vagabond, or Prophet. I ended up going with Confessor as well. I may be wrong on this one, so yeah. Also, this build gets to level 128. Every starting class I picked, and I did all the exact way of how he leveled everything. It all went over 128, so I had to go with either one of those classes. So yeah. But apart from that, that's the only thing that's really changed on this build. This is also a bleed build as well, just so you guys know. The 4 talismans he has is the Crimson Amber Medallion plus 2 maximum HP, Erdtree's Favor plus 2 raises maximum HP, Stam and equip load, Shard of Alexander, Great Jar of Ardenal raises maximum equip load. For the Great Ruin, he has Radahn's Great Ruin, which raises max HP, FP and Stam. There is no physic on this build. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know what time it is. It is time to test out how much damage this build can produce. Because of all the weapons on this build, I'll show you the top 3 attacks that deal the most damage just to shorten the section up. So right now we're just going to see what kind of damage this build can produce on my Get the Felt Over. I'll be going over the top 3 weapons that produce the most damage, so without further ado, let's get it! Look at that with that the blood proc. Sheesh. There we go. See what we can get here. Crits are pretty good. There we go. Holy hell. Look at that. All honesty, I was really surprised with the outcome of this build's damage output. I used Margit as an example because I wasn't too sure how evenly matched up this would be, but it's safe to say that in these examples, I destroyed Margit and he fell. That silly omen. Bruh. All three weapons performed well in terms of damage, thanks to the blood affinity. I'll start with the weapon that did the least damage of the top three weapons in this build. The curved club did okay. It was not the best damage wise. The thing I found useful is if you get the chance to spam R1 to get the bleed bar up, then it can be helpful in that aspect. But for me, this is not it. That's just my opinion though. This one is pretty close, but I'd put the Shamshire here. You can blood proc easily with the spinning slash if it all connects, which the blood proc was guaranteed on Margit. It was decent damage for what it is. I was surprised with this one, to be honest. And the winner of the section is the Great Curved Club. This is going to be your main weapon damage wise. The Lion's Claw really does pack a punch, and if you get the blood proc effect to kick in with the Lion's Claw, you definitely get heavy damage. With all this said and done, just to cut this part short, I'm going to give this a 6.5 for damage. This build is not bad for a cosplay, but even with the blood proc effect, the damage is, in my opinion, on the lowish side, but even with the highest damage builds, you can still get owned in Elden Ring. On to bigger and better things. Let's get it! If you're liking the content, then please consider giving this video a like. I'd really appreciate it, and it'd show me that you want more content like this, and it will push this content out to more people that may like this content as well, so thank you for that. The second generation Albinauric are often persecuted by other races in the lands between. They are seen as impure and unworthy of grace. However, there are some who seek to help the Albinaurics, such as Latenna, a spirit summon who can be found in the village of the Albinaurics. The lore surrounding second generation Albinaurics is tragic and thought-provoking. Do you think this lowly Albinauric can become the Elden Lord and give his people the resting place they deserve? Let's put this build to the test in a PvE setting to see how well this build performs. So with this fight I decided to go with the Curved Great Club. And as you can see, it's actually doing quite a lot of damage. I was quite surprised at this, to be honest. Now it's time to get him. Here we go. Deal. Well, honestly though, like that, the damage pretty good. The damage is decent for what it is. The T-Rex dogs are not bad. I don't mind them, they're just annoying. Annoyingly clicking, they're quite powerful. But as you can see, they actually get rid of this good dog quite easily because of that because of the Ash of War on the build. The spinning slash is really a good Ash of War. As I was saying in the damage section, the Shamshire is actually a pretty good weapon for this build, just because of that spinning slash. Because it has the blood affinity on it, it just makes it kind of an underrated weapon for this build. So yeah, I really did have fun with this build in PvE because of all the weapons on this build. There was just so much variety that I could play around with. I could have the Ripple Blade in my offhand, and I could also have the Curved Great Club in my right hand, which made it fun. Here we're just trying out the Curved Club with the Barbaric Roar, so it gives you more attack power. As you can see, we're doing not bad on this. Look at them trying to grab me. I literally hate this move here. It sucks ass.
Nice.
Get away from me. I got you. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. That was kind of good. Here you go, take this. One thing I do like on the Ripple present Albert is the range that it has. As you can see here, it did not make it on my top 3, but it was the 4th highest damage weapon in this build. We're just squaring each other up, seeing who's going to make the first move. Just closely waiting for him to come. And bam! There we go. See, told you. What you got? Next one. Come on. Let's go. Bam! Got you again. Yeah, come on. Again. Come on. Try me. Bam! There we go. See? Now, it's time to finish you off. Later, bolt. Let's go. GG's. Oh, we put on wild strikes. Come have a taste of this. Let's go. Easy, mate. Easy. And last but not least, I absolutely hate these things though. They're quick, and once they get you down, it's almost pretty much over because they can attack you from the left to the right. And half the problem with them is trying to get up once you're down. See what I mean? He's just so annoying. Get out of there. Come on. Let's go. Get away from him. Get him. Let's get it. Come on. GG's. Take that. Come on, boy. What you got? And this guy here, I actually hate these guys. They're probably one of the most annoying enemies in the game. The reason why we keep facing them, just to showcase what these builds are made of. Give me some room to breathe. Look at this cheap artist. He's so cheesy. Yeah, take that. Let's go! So far this build has really been fun. When I initially saw this build, I was kind of skeptical. The reason why was because the armor is kind of minimal, but with more playtime with this build, it's growing on me. So here is one pro that I do like about the build. I love the fact that this has different weapons to play around with. You can have one on your offhand and another on your right hand. It also has a shield with this build, so you can always parry an enemy, and man does it feel good when you get that parry. And here's a con for the build. And it will probably be one of the downfalls to this build, and that is it is really easy to stagger, as the poise is not the greatest. I think the poise is like 24 or something like that. But with that being said, for this section, it's actually not bad, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So this is definitely a solid score for PvE. It has more pros than cons so far. So how well will this build do in PvP? We're going to see in the next part of this video. This will be the cutest build everyone in PvP sees today, so maybe we can defeat our opponents with cuteness? I don't know. I'm really excited to test this build out. I'm literally wondering how well this build is going to do here. I did watch Mr. Curl's vid, and this build did good in his invasions, so the intro is going to be short and sweet. I really want to see how well this build does here. Will this build be the PvP master? Let's find out. Let's have a see how well we do here.
Hey!
Let's go! I got him.
Hey!
You can make it easy.
You're beautiful.
Hey!
Hello, it's me.
Everyone likes the Albinauric, Let's go!
I'm sorry.
That's a nice sword pop.
You're beautiful.
Hey! Hey!
Let's go, boys, let's go. Let's see what we can get, eh? Damn, I just lost it. There we go. Wow, that range, man. The hell? Look at that, they have so much health. Hey. He's coming. That was a bit of fun. GG's. Most of the times I'm sweating my ass off in PvP, and I generally look like that meme where it has that guy sweating harder and he's playing a game. The experience with this build was insanely fun for all the wrong reasons. Here goes a pro for this build in PvP. There were a lot of weapons to choose from, which kept this build in PvP interesting. And here's a con for this build. This has very little damage negation, so you do feel every hit. With everything being said here, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 10. For the fun factor though, it has to be a 10 out of 10. If you want to go into dueling just for a laugh and get some wholesome reactions, this is the build for you. This build wins in terms of funny and wholesome interactions, hands down.
You're beautiful.
That's a 20 out of 10 if that was a section being rated. I could officially say that I beat PvP with cuteness. That's enough of the lollygagging. From the mask, armor, and weapons, this build is on the lower end of the spectrum in what we tested it for. For me, it was still a decent build, but PvP duels is where it lacks the most. So let's take a quick look at the score, then we will go over the pros and cons of this build. For drip, we gave this a 7 out of 10. For damage, we gave this a 6 out of 10. For PvE, we gave this another 7 out of 10. And for PvP, we gave this a 4.5 out of 10. With that being said, this gets a total of 24.5 out of 40. For what it is, it's still a good score. And in all honesty, I would use this build if that counts. Anyways, here are the pros and cons for this build. It's still not a major build, that is a pro. It has a variety of weapons to play with. It's pretty good for PvE. This build would be more suited towards the early to mid game, which I think you can get most of the armor and weapons for this build at that stage. The only hyper armor you get is with the Lion's Claw Ash of War. It has a big HP pool, so if you do end up playing this build, you would have more Crimson Tear Flasks to counter the damage it takes. The weapon you will probably main is the Great Curved Club. And in your offhand, I'd say if you are good at parries, then use the shield. If not, then use the Shamshire for PvE. The last one is that it has the Albinauric mask. And here are all the cons that I found with this build. 1. It's easy to stagger because the poise is so low. I found myself getting interrupted if I was spamming any attack, apart from Lion's Claw. you tend to take a lot of damage just because you don't have much damage negation. So if you're an average player like myself, this will be a massive downside, or I just need to get good. Anyways, those were the cons for this build. I would just like to say a massive thank you for everyone that's watching, and if you're still here, then leave a comment on if you agree or disagree with my rating. Also, if you like this type of content, then give this video a like or subscribe. It really does help me out a lot, and it will tell me that you like this type of content as well. Anyways, I hope everyone has a blessed day or night, and I'll leave another video that you may want to watch on the screen somewhere around here. Anyways, for now, until next time, thank you and goodbye.